Guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be part 2 of that trilogy that I'm doing about moving cross country. I'm going to list the link below to the previous video, which was more talking about finding housing cross country. Today's video is going to be more about finding a job cross country. So when it comes to applying to jobs, I know a lot of you have probably seen, like, it just seems so tedious and some of the applications are just so long. You're just like, what am I doing? Like, is this even worth it? Like, there was a few times where I was like, oh my god, I'm so done applying to jobs. But you got to be kind of persistent about it, and you also need to be more, like, you need to narrow down your search. You need to know exactly what field you want to go into. You got to be very, like, you got to know your stuff. You got to do your research, because there's a lot of job listings out there that are not actual, like, jobs. They're like sitting outside of Walmart or something selling some kind of item or something along those lines. So you really just gotta know your stuff. So for me, what I did is I used LinkedIn a lot. I narrowed down to companies that I liked or companies that I have heard of that actually had like official job postings. I would use different keywords to find different jobs. Like I did business management or marketing or just those kinds of things, those keywords that are going to be in a job description that you want to go into. My biggest, like, huge help was temp agencies. So a temp agency, if you guys don't know, is just a company that, like, big companies will outsource to a temp agency if they need someone to fill a position as soon as possible, or they don't have time to go through the recruiting process with candidates and they just need someone to fill that spot. So last summer when I had lived out in Texas, I went through a temp agency as well for my internship, and that was Robert Half. Robert Half is really huge, like, countrywide. So that's definitely a company that you can reach out to if you're trying to move cross country. When I moved this time, I used Delta Dallas, and Delta Dallas was kind of more of just for Dallas area temp agency, but that's how I landed my position here in Dallas, and I am forever grateful for that temp agency because I love my position, I love the job, I just love everything about it. So I definitely would not rule out temp agencies. A lot of people think temp agencies are just like, oh, I'm just gonna be working for 2 weeks and then I'm done. That's not the case, because temp agencies, they have what's called a temp to full-time, which is what I was. It's basically you can be on a temp basis for like a month or two at a time and see how you work with the company, see how the company likes you, and then if they like you, they'll reach out back to the temp agency, be like, hey, we want to hire her full-time. So then you go through a transition period and you become a full-time employee for that company that you're working for. So it's kind of like the temp agency does a lot of the work, the grunt work for you. So it's a great resource. Honestly, I love it. I wish I would have known about it sooner instead of having to go through all those applications and getting turned down and just like that constant rejection, and you know, most of you know how that goes. So yeah, I definitely would look at temp agencies. The other thing about moving cross country is that some positions might be like, oh, we have to do an in-person interview, and they'll be like, oh, well, if you come in and you fly in, whatever, we'll do the interview. So that was a big one for me because I was like, I don't have the money. I was still a college student to just fly out to Texas and be like, hey, I'm gonna interview for a job that I might not even have. So my thing with that is you can try and go and negotiate and be like, hey, like, is there any possible way that we can do like a Skype interview or a phone interview first, so that I'm not just wasting my time or my money, those kinds of things. Bigger companies will do like a Skype interview or a phone interview. So, I mean, it kind of gives you a feel of what and who the company is if they're not willing to work with you in that aspect. But yeah, like I said, a temp agency, you interview with them and then they go out and try to find the jobs for you. They sit down and talk to you about what you're looking for, what your salary expectations are, and they match you the best they can with other companies that are looking for people. So that's that. Another route you can go is basically you can try to save up. In my last video, I said about saving. Before you move cross country, if there's any possible way that you can save at least a month or two's worth of expenses, that'll be a huge burden lifted off of your shoulders in terms of finding a job, because at least you know you'll be able to pay your bills for 2 months, where you can come out and you can really hit hard and go through all those applications, go into places and hand your resume out, go in and be like, hey, I'm looking for a job. It's just, you'll be able to really get the ball rolling if you're actually already here and you have your expenses, so you're not worrying too much. Because what ends up happening when you're super stressed and you're like, oh my god, I need to find a job, I need to start making money, because I got to that point. What you're going to end up doing is you're going to start settling, and you're going to start settling for jobs that aren't going to treat you right, or they're just not going to pay you what you should be being paid, and it just becomes a bad situation. So you're going to want to do that and make sure that you can be picky and not just jump on the first offer that is given to you, because it's just not a good situation. And I can talk from experience. I was ready to go back into retail and back into serving and just like doing what I needed to do, because I was getting so desperate, and going into companies that would have me working like 50 hours a week, and I was just getting really desperate, and you don't want to get to that point. I had about a month or two's expenses saved up, and once it started getting to the end, that's when I started getting to that point. But I still had that money where I was able to be picky. And then once the temp agency came in and gave me this great position, I was like, okay, this is what I want. I can say like, I'll be happy here, or it was great. I'm kind of like just rambling on because it's just so much that happened in that time period. But yeah, so like in a recap, you want to be very specific in your job search. You don't want to just be like business, because you'll get crazy job listings that don't even have anything to do with business. So you want to be very specific in what you want to do. You want to make sure that you're doing your research on the companies, making sure that they're legitimate. They're not just going to run you around and treat you like a crazy person and not pay you what you deserve. And definitely check out temp agencies. Temp agencies are great. They're going to do all that grunt work for you, so you can really relax and kind of settle in and keep doing what you need to do, but a little bit less burden on you. And that's pretty much it. I mean, if you guys have any questions, let me know. Reach out to me on any of my social media outlets. I'll list all of them below. And if you guys are trying to move cross country, I wish you the best of luck. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and make sure to subscribe.